Ah, we're live! Yay! I had to go through this a couple of times. It wouldn't every I tried to upload this or get it started a couple of times, and it wouldn't let the chat bar pop up here, so I had to reboot the computer. What's going on, everybody? It's Sunday night. It's time to drink coffee and sit on the zebra thing and oh, my son go. My granddaughter's right here playing around. Stuff is all. There you are. All right. Oh, Minmay Muscle, John Wilburn, what's happening? Jesse Zankowski. Hello, Jesse. Fubar the axe has arrived. Stang, Mike Smith, what's happening? Stang Lincoln. Bruce W. Let's see. Great update video. Can we have a rundown on how plans eat? Bruce, we're gonna do a whole video tomorrow. I learned some extremely interesting things that I'm still trying to digest. So we'll have a video up tomorrow about Plan Z, Bruce. Bruce, I'm learning stuff that's just like the Slant Six, or at least this engine is from another dimension. It's actually pretty cool. Discaglione, Dan's Garage, what's happening? Jerry Frank's Pro Charge Mopar, George Barney, what's happening? Stang Lincoln, Mr. Will, what's happening? Need metal? Yeah, bro, just getting started here now. I had some technical difficulties getting this to up and run. Yeah, Scaglione, we are safe. Fubar is here. Oh, Uncle Kathy's garage. Oh, that is Uncle Kathy. Uncle Kathy, you can't hear me because one of the girls took the mic. I don't know. I have no idea where the mic is. Okay, Joe Bate, how are you doing, brother man? Crazykin. So, I need the Jeff Bezos mic. I may need it. No, but see, what happened was, okay, so Uncle Crystal was here doing T-shirts, and she let my granddaughters, kind of like play around in here, and so like things were a little like, even my pumpkin was missing. Yeah, I got. See, it's my pumpkin, right? This was missing. We found that. Okay, so we found that. I'm good now. I'm good with that. But my dragon, okay, this is all that's left of my dragon. Yeah. So and the microphone evidently went to the same place to go get, my microphone to the same place the rest of the dragon did. Saying, oh no, go get Dallas's Blue Yeti. But I feel gay every time I touch it. You think your granddaughter sold them in the merch store? Yeah. Well, yeah. I love them, but they can't be in here. They can't be in here. Don't say, oh, I'll go get it. It's all right. All right, hang on. I'll go get that. All right. I'll be right back. I feel impure now. All right. All right, hang on. And that. Okay, can you guys hear me now? Hold it with both hands. No, John, I'm not going to hold it with both hands. Ah, oh, Jesus. Okay, it's better? It's better? Okay. All right. Gizmo Dog 765. Do you really think all gas cars will not be sold by 2030 or whatever? No. No, no, it's not possible. Um, let's see. Carlina fan. Can the pistons on the 360 be switched around the way Tony does? Yes, they can. Tommy's waiting for the cat to buy the electric. No, the cat doesn't come here. I don't let the cat in here. And now I'm not going to let my granddaughters in here. Yeah, yeah, he's got it's off limits to uncle grandkids. Holden, man, good day. How you doing, brother, man? I love your work. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Cup the base. No, Mike. All right, look, I don't want any more comments about the freaking microphone. I can't, oh, please. Crystal sells Tennessee. It's Uncle Crystal. It's the Uncle Crystal. Uncle Crystal, I've been sifting through the debris that my beautiful granddaughters have left me here in my thing. What's happening, Uncle Crystal? We need to wish Richard Pelvin from New Zealand a happy birthday. It's Richard Pelvin's birthday? I didn't get a notification. I didn't get a text. Nothing. I can't believe this. Everybody, okay. Richard Pelvin. It's Richard Pelvin Day. It's Richard Pelvin's birthday day. How's that? Did I do good? Oh, tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow is Richard Pelvin Day. Ken Murray, where do you go for wiring diagrams? Mymopar.com has like every diagram you're going to need. Every schematic you're going to need. Sean Fagan said happy birthday to him. Uncle Crystal, the world needs you here. Eric Trent, how did Plan Z do the check? We ran it yesterday. We made one run yesterday. I learned a lot, and we're working on a video. We'll have it up tomorrow or Tuesday. That'll go through the whole thing. But I found some extremely interesting things at the track yesterday. Bruce W. Tony 360 Magnum. Friend dropped a piston and broke a skirt off. Got another good used piston, but this slightly different in shape. Do I require rebalancing or weigh it? Don't worry about rebalancing or weighing it. They're all batch balanced. I'm sure it'll be fine. It should be. Yeah, no, you shouldn't have a problem. It should go right in. Rich creamy coffee. ABB 4323. Do some motorcycle stuff like you mentioned. So going through the comments of one of the recent videos, and somebody mentioned that they had bought, they were commenting on my Sporty, right? And they mentioned that they bought a new retro bike. Okay, this is killing me. Okay. They bought this new retro bike, and they were having fun with it, and they got, right. Listen to this, right? They picked up a Royal Enfield Continental 650. Okay, and I've always had a little bug for. Okay, so Royal Enfield, for you guys who don't know Royal Enfield, it was a British motorcycle company, a British gun company. They made motorcycles, okay, and then they sold the rights to their motorcycles to a company in England. So ever since, I guess it's 1970, 71 or whatever, this Royal Enfield of India has been building 1950s and 1960s Royal Enfield motorcycles. So right now you can go buy a brand new, right out of the wrapper, 1960s British motorcycle. Okay, so I says, oh geez, I'm curious because the last time I looked at anything Royal Enfield, they had just the singles. They were selling these little thumpers, right? And I thought, man, what a cool little around town bike that would be. I just have one of those. You know, it's like, it's so retro, it's so cool. Well, the Continental 650, okay, it's a vertical twin. It's a 650cc vertical twin. It's the most classic Brit bike ever. It's a Triumph It's like, okay, like just picture, just meld, right, a Norton, a BSA, and a Triumph together, okay, and you have the Continental 650, and it's brand new. You can go buy one of those things brand new. They're only $5,800, brand new. Okay, now I have a new lost object. I can't get this bike out of my mind. I've been doing things all day long. Okay, from videos and having meetings and all sorts of things all day long. And all day long, all I have in the back of my mind is the sound of a British vertical twin and that whole thing, right? So now I have this crazy, like, new lost object that I must avoid at all costs. Lucas, Prince of Darkness. No, but there's no Lucas on this. That's it. That's the thing. See, there's no Lucas on this. All of the British bike works. No Zener diode. Okay, no Zener diode. It's built from this planet. William says yes. The junkyard jet crew is working on the car today. ABB. Once a bike is in your blood, it stays. Oh yeah, man. John Wilburn, Tony, I've ridden a motorcycle 20 feet my entire life. You should teach me how to ride. I'm not afraid to die. I'll teach you. Listen to me, right? Go buy, right? Go buy one of these Enfield 650 twins, right? They make two versions. One is a cafe racer, which, it's okay. And then one of them is just like a straight on, UJM style, right? Although the British came up with it first. Bike. It's just beautiful. It's astounding. It's beautiful. It's just perfect and amazing. So yeah, go buy one of those, man, and I'll teach you how to ride on it. And then I'll store it for you. I would do that, John. I would do that for you. I would store that motorcycle for you. Old Triumph bikes, the electrical system was the Prince of Darkness. No, Lucas, the company, Lucas was like the big British electrical company in those days, right? And the nickname for Lucas was the Prince of Darkness because they made all the light bulbs. So you had Lucas light bulbs, Lucas fixtures, Lucas wiring, Lucas everything, and that's where the Lucas refrigerators, and that's where the whole Lucas, that's where the Prince of Darkness thing came from. John Puckett, do you still have me invade Uncle Tony's garage? We are, but we have not come up with a date or a location for it yet. When we have the date and the location, we'll make a big deal over it. But right now, we don't have the date or the location. Big bad marketer, what happened to your six pack stroker muscle? I got rid of that thing. I couldn't. I just wasn't into it, brother man. I just wasn't into it. I know people love the Ram charges and all of that, and I just wasn't into it. I just wasn't into it, and it went. I did other stuff that I'm much more into. Um, Roy Ferntrop. Ducati's had a habit of giving up electrics. Drove helmet on ground, kick bike. I know. I had a monster. I know. I tell you, I would have a Ducati right now, but I refuse to pay the Ducati tax. You know what I'm saying? You drop a Ducati. Okay, so like you just accidentally like drop a Ducati on some gravel, which happens, man. This happens. It's just a thing. Okay, yeah, and you're talking about $1,000 for a freaking for a peg that breaks off the bracket breaks I've been through this. I don't want to deal with it. But here's an interesting thing. I have a bike shop right down the street from me over here, and they have a few Ducatis. They have a guy who does Ducatis. So we're talking about I'm talking about motorcycle content that appeals to everybody, and because I don't want to do more. I don't want to do a motorcycle. I don't want motorcycle exclusive content, but gearhead content, kind of like the same way we did like the steam locomotive. It's gearhead stuff. So we're going to do a thing on the desmodromic valve gear, what it is and how to set it up, because people have never even heard of it, right? So we're going to go through a Ducati, and we're going to go through the whole valve train. and explain how that whole system works and how to set it up and so on and so forth, and the plus points and the minuses on it. So, Unity Motorsports Garage, I love that you pick up Andy, I have to talk to you. I have to talk to you, Andy. I have to talk to you about an odd phenomenon that I'm coming across with the carburetor on Plan Z, and you're just the guy I need to talk to about that. Love the sound of old Kawasaki inline. Yeah, I had a bunch of them, man. I had a bunch of UJMs. Like, all right, when I say I had a bunch of them, I want to say I had at least 50 four-cylinder UJMs, because back in those days when I was motorcycle crazy, I'd buy one in the morning and sell it in the afternoon. It was just constant. So I was always, and a few of them I keep around for a month or two. But you know, they just don't turn me on. They just don't turn me on. Yeah, Andy, it has to do with the boosters, and I have a weird fat condition just off idle. You know, it's dead lean. It's dead lean. The car is dead lean. Plugs came out white as a ghost. Okay, but just off idle, as soon as you crack the throttle, okay, it goes crazy fat, and I'm not getting atomization on the booster. I'm watching it now, and I open the throttle. Okay, open the throttle just off idle circuit, and the fuel just rains out of the boosters. Like there's no atomization, and as soon as you go past that, it picks up and it atomizes. So I need to figure out what to do with that. Buffed Up Campo, you are at the wrong live. Buff, come on, get with it, Buff. Your home is here. I don't know where you're going. Harley Hawk, what's happening, brother, man? Smoking wrench. If you drop a Ducati and had damage to both sides, including the gas tank, it was totaled by insurance. Yep. Yep. I bought my Ducati. I have 2 lives going right now. How is that possible? We're only here now. Oh, I started a live, but I couldn't get the, but I didn't hit the go, right? Jansen 50. Tony, which project will you finish next? None of them. None of them. Don't hold your breath if you're waiting for me to finish a project. Then it won't be a project, right? It'll never ever happen. I swear to God, I will never ever finish a project. So don't hold your breath if you're waiting for that. Unity Motorsports, air bleeds need to be changed to delay the booster from being active. So open up the air bleed or change the booster. Well, I had a huge following at the other live while waiting. Well, we're here, man. So my friend Al Castillo was here this morning. We had a lot of traffic here. This is a pretty interesting day at the shop. My friend Al Castillo, who you would know from some earlier videos we did like a couple of years ago, he stopped by. I haven't seen him in a while. He's been busy. He's been working on a house, rehabbing a house. So he's actually going to come and start working on Slaghammer. We talked about this. Him and his son. They build stuff together. They screw around stuff together. So Al and his son Ethan are going to start working within the next couple of weeks or so. They're going to start working on Slaghammer. And the talk we're talking back and forth about him just taking the car and going to like what's that? The Power Tour. The goal is to get the car running and take it on the Power Tour for next year. So we'll see what happens with that. He's really into the idea. His scheduling is just a little crazy. He's an over-the-road truck driver, So between the over-the-road truck driving and the house that he's doing, his schedule is a little weird, but I think he's going to get into that. Unity Motorsports, oh, Andy, yeah, what is most likely happening is the booster is pulling fuel while still in the transfer slot. It's raining fuel out of the booster, okay? And I know it's past the transfer slot. It's past the transfer slot. There's no power valve in this, okay? There's no power valve in this. But if you come, and this is what happened. I don't want to spoil the video. I'm doing a whole video on this tomorrow, but I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. Just off idle, okay? So just like, okay, so I staged the car, right? Brought up RPM just a little bit, and it drenched the motor, okay? Swapped feet, flat-footed it, car stumbled a little bit, then caught up and ran hard, okay? And then got lean, right? Super lean, like the plugs all came out white as a ghost. But when I checked afterwards this morning, okay, started the motor, right? Open the throttle okay, so it's idling perfect, and I have perfect fuel distribution on idle. I cracked the throttle just to like, just a little bit where it's past the transfer slot. And it's raining fuel out of the booster, just rain, okay? I go past that, and the RPM shoots up, and I get atomization. The rain goes away. So it's what's happening is if you let's say you're just going to take the slack out of the drive line, right, on the starting line, and you're just giving it just a little foot, okay, to bring it up. It's just gushing raw fuel out of the boosters. That's what's going on with that. Yes, can you do a nitrous video? Lots of nitrous videos coming up soon. Yes. John Willie, when are you going to come to Boone County, West Virginia, and go mudding with the wild, wonderful whites of West Virginia? First, I have to go mudding with the people who were here today. I had a meeting with a Jeep club, a Jeep club, a local Jeep club, and we're going to start getting very involved with them. We kicked around some fun ideas today. Okay, you're going to call me, ask some questions. Okay. Thanks, Andy. Kenny Wooden, did you make any passes at the truck? One. I'm going to do a whole video on it tomorrow. I learned a huge, and that's what I was just talking to Andy about. I learned a lot of stuff, and I'm trying to figure out a few things. But we're going to do a very interesting plug reading video about that for tomorrow. Big Bad Marketer. Uncle Tony, I'm looking to build a high budget, ultimate stroke, small block Mopar after the new year. Interested in building it, putting it together. Not really, but if you want to come here, if you're local and you want to bring the engine here and build it here, then yeah, absolutely, I'm interested. But as far as like you dropping it off for me to do it, there isn't enough money in the world. ABB loved the Ruster. I love the Ruster too. I love the Ruster too. And now I have a goal. You know what I mean? Like I know where I know where I want to be with the car. I want to be able to line up next to him and give him a run for his money. So, or cars of that ilk. So that's my goal now. Like I actually have something, a vision that I want to get to. So we're, yeah, awesome car. Really nice guy. Greg on Daco is his name. Really, really cool guy, is he? Redford Toughlin, where do they get the Chinese ham rockers? One of our viewers had them. So he says, I got a set of rockers, one for $75. I was like, yeah, okay, sure. I mean, for $75, why not? Let's give it a shot. Big Bad Marketer, I pay you, of course. I don't want your money. There is not. You could offer me $10,000. You could offer me $100,000 to build that engine. I am absolutely not interested at all. But if you want to come here and you want to build it yourself, and we'll help and cover it on the video, like just like Andy's GTX, the Hemi GTX that's in there, then yeah, by all means. Bruce W. Tony Ruster, do you know what size carb he's running? Would Greg offer any advice? He's running a 750 AFB, and I don't think he can give the advice that I need to work with the Carter or with the Holly. The two carburetors have different characteristics, and the situation that I'm having with the Holly wouldn't really exist on his Carter. Terrence Seymour, you're finally in your new house. Congratulations. Best of luck with it, my brother. Big bad marketer will do. Oh yeah, John Wilburn will build your high dollar small block for a little less than 100 grand. Go you, John. Joe, about it. Tony, you in New Jersey? No, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. I've been here for 18, almost 19 years. How's pork chop? I don't know what a pork chop is. Don, I said, I don't know if it's Don or Wendy who's saying it, but I'll be your wrench boy, John. I guess it's Don. Um, let's see. Where's Ultra Kathy? She's at the house. She's lurking. She's here. She's someplace in here. Hollywood, Uncle Tony, any place for a turbo or supercharged engine build? Not in the immediate future, but we're going to be doing this channel for a long time, right? We're not just doing it for for shits and giggles this week. So let's get down the road. Let's get what we have more together and functional, and then we'll think about other stuff. Anthony Smiley, would short length block hugger headers flow considerably better than stock 383 exhaust manifolds? Okay, considerably better? Not really. Definitely better than the log manifolds. Maybe not. Definitely better than the log manifolds. Maybe slightly better than the HP manifolds, but no. Oscar Walton, have you ever considered Weber side drift setup on the Slant 6? No, I have never considered it, and I am not going to do it. I'm going to stick with the Holly carburetor, with the single 4-barrel. I shouldn't say Holly carburetor. I'm going to stick with a single 4-barrel carburetor. Hey, Mr. Well, have you talked to Steve Maggs? Any live chat soon? I was supposed to call Steve today. I was going to call Steve today and schedule, with him, and I didn't because I've just been busy. Today was all over the map today. We're just running around talking to people, all sorts of things going on. So I have to, I got to get a hold of Steve and schedule something. Let's see. What's your preferred brand of oil? I like the Shell Rotella. Dan's Garage, no, I have not talked to David about the dyno yet. Holden Med, any word yet on the Miata's day out? Not yet. Oh, Uncle Kathy's home because she's shot. Yeah, she sent me out to do this because she needs to just. What happens is she puts on her fuzzy slippers and she eats her bonbons and and puts her feet up and she watches this and laughs at me. Look, he's working and I'm eating my bonbons. Colleen Tabo, I know you run 1540 in your cars. Would you run a freshly rebuilt engine? Yeah, of course. Freshly rebuilt engine, I would run the 1540 and a can of just a high zinc. Well, it really depends on the build. But it's a flat topic. If it's a flat topic cam, a can of high zinc additive, like STP. Uncle Kathy says, ha ha ha, do not. That, okay, I hope you didn't smear chocolate all over the keyboard where you were doing that. David Lennon, Uncle Tony, you might try to open the secondary throttle a bit so you can close the primaries more idle. The primaries are closed and idle. Delaying the main circuit when the main circuit starts. No, I mean like literally. Remember, this is a 225. This is a slant six, and at idle, okay, at 1,000 RPM idle, it isn't even a full turn. It's about three-quarters of a turn off the throttle stop to get it to idle. So no, it's already it's nowhere near that point. Do I go to a thinner oil for winter? Nah, no. I just run what you know. I try to ignore the seasons as best I can. You know what I mean? Dakota's timeout. What's happening, brother Dakota? Jay Robertson, Uncle Tony, Jim Bennett got invited to a road trip to Gene Winfield's in the desert by Gene, and he's not going. Yeah, no, because he does the same thing I do. We have to be here. We can't just go. I was invited on that same thing. We can't just like drop everything and go traipsing off across the country. We got work to do. We need to see a Peg interview with UTG. That could be fun. That could be fun. Fubar just put up the link to our merch, which I'm not wearing now. I got my Miata shirt. I love my Miata shirt. But yeah, that's the link to our merch if you want to buy shirts, any color you want, as long as they're black. Now we got some long sleeve ones, um, black also. Then and UncleTony'sGarage.com for the thank you, Fubar. Um, let's see. Oh, my coffee's getting cold. Bruce W, if you can get the carbs sorted on Plan Z, what are you making run next week? Well, the reason why we made the one run yesterday is because I need to work on the oil pan. I have terrible oil starvation issues. So I need to rethink the whole oil pan on that. There's a couple of changes I need to make on the car based on what I've learned so far. So the odds of see, okay, so here we are now. We're getting into October, a very short period of time. So what I'd like to do now is go back to Bottle Rocket and try to get Bottle Rocket out at least one time, before the end of the season. And then if that doesn't eat up my whole world, then we'll work on the oil pan for Plan Z. But right now, Plan Z is temporarily sidelined while I regroup. I guess I learned a lot yesterday. So Plan Z right now is going to be partially disassembled, and I've got to go through a few things on it. So no, it's definitely not going out next week. Good possibility that Bottle Rocket goes out next week. Brandon Lee, you saw the new Wagoneer at the fair. I've been looking forward to seeing one, just to eyeball it in person. see. Bottle rocket, will you run it with the collapsed lifters? No, we ran it with the collapsed lifters. We're not going to run it with collapsed lifters anymore. I didn't know they were collapsing. No, we're okay. This week, not tomorrow, because I've got stuff going on. This week, I'm taking the top end of the bottle rocket apart, and we're going to take the lifters apart, and we're going to see. I've got two different paths that I can go with what I want to do with it. So, and I don't know which I want to go yet. But this week, we'll take the top end of the motor apart. We'll take the lifters apart. We'll examine the lifters because I want to see exactly what's going on. We'll do a video about that. But I've got the rockers for it. The push rods I have, excuse me, should work. So it's just a question now of how to make those hydraulic, how we're going to go about converting those hydraulic lifters to solid. I've got two different options on that. Okay. Sean Fagan, if you were to build anything with an LS motor, you could run that car every week with no problems, very solid mule. Bro, there's so many. I could take a 383 and throw it in any of these cars and run it week after week and never have a problem. There's lots of different things I can do that would go week after week and never have any problem. It's the problems and the solving of the problems that is the meat of what we do here on the channel. That's why I go with oddball, bizarre sort of combinations, because it takes thought, it takes effort, it takes ingenuity to make these things work and to do them on the cheap. But I mean, I literally have, God, I have at least 4 3D3s in various stages of disassembly that I could just and pop it in and drop it and go. But that's not the point. Where's the fun in that? Where's the sport in that? RC Top Fuel, how can you tune for lack of compression? Ignition and cam timing. I mean, those are really the only things. Those are your two options for tuning to get around compression: ignition and cam timing. Mr. Will, you're going to see a 383 build. We're going to build a tunnel ram 383. Charlotte Quillen, what's happening? Let's see. LS motors can be problem-free if set up correctly. Of course, all of these engines can be problem-free if they set them up correctly. David Shepard, what's happening, David? Let's see. Dallas, what's happening, Dallas? How do plans you go to track? We made one run and I learned a lot. We'll have a whole video on this tomorrow. We'll put a video up tomorrow about that. Dirt Bike Man Vlogs. Our 440 cast cranks good under boost. I got one guy. I have a friend of mine who's got a dead stock 1978 440. I mean, stock pistons, stock everything, and he's got a 671 blower on the thing, and he runs 10-second ETs with the car, and he has no problems. It's just turn key and go. Just point it down the track and go. And the motor is like, when I say dead stock, I mean dead stock with the blower on it. So yeah, cast crank motor takes some boost. David Leonard, Uncle Tony, could the welded shut push rods be preventing the lifters from getting enough oil on them? No, actually, they would increase the amount of oil. Remember that the 318 doesn't oil through the push rods; it oils through the lifters. So some of that oil that goes into the lifter is diverted through the push rod. So by closing up the hole in the push rods, you're actually increasing the oil to the lifter, not decreasing it. Jonathan Gaiman, hey Tony, did you find some taillights for this Valiant? I have a decent set. I'll send you if you want them. I'm looking. Are they the 67, 68 style? Because that's what I'm looking for. Um, let's see. Um, Conrad Francis, hey Mr. Tony, do you think it would be possible to fill a modern engine like a Gen 3 Hemi with or LS with concrete and use nitro like they used to do with the older small blocks? I don't see why not. Oh, it's not concrete that they use. It's a compound. I believe it's called DevCon, and it's the same stuff that they make bowling balls out of. Noah, you're a hooker. Where you guys get some of these names? Would you ever consider experimenting with a rotary engine? Different game, but you'd make it work quick work with. I would love to. Bring me a car with a rotary and let's screw around with it. Yeah, I'm definitely open to that. The Chief, how difficult would it be getting a broken bolt out of a timing cover? How high is up? I mean, what time? There's so many different variations of that. Impossible for me to answer that question. Tony, can grout be used? Yeah, people used to use grout, but I'm pretty sure it breaks up. It has a tendency to break up. It doesn't dry. Grout isn't intended to be layered in there the way you know what I'm saying. Like grout is supposed to be relatively thin, exposed to the air, and it dries. But when you grout engines, the all the moisture doesn't get out. Some of it always stays. Andy Garlitz built a front engine dragster with a 392 Hemi, runs nitro. It sounds wicked. It does, right? That engine, I heard that thing, and oh God, where I was actually I was with a Top Fuel car. I think it was with our Drop Rules car, the Backyard Guys. Um, I forget what event it was, but Garlitz had that Gen 3 Hemi in one of his cars and he was cackling it. And yeah, it sounded amazing. It was like just, it was the sharpest thing. It was just like crazy, right? But no, I haven't. I think it's those quench chambers just change the characteristic of the engine. Because remember, the 392, the early Hemi and the 426 just have that plain empty dome, right? There's no quench chambers in there. And I think that the shape of the combustion chamber on that motor he's got in there changes the whole characteristic, the whole sound of it. It's like it actually sounds like a small block Chevy. If you ever heard a small block Chevy on nitro, have you ever heard the Champion Speed Shop car? Because that's exactly what the Garlitz's Gen 3 sounded like to me. The Champion Speed Shop small block, which is easily the sweetest sounding nitro motor I've ever heard. J. Russell Finch, still waiting for one of your cars to run sometimes. Why? Bro, go listen. You know how many channels there are? You have any idea how many YouTube channels there are? Go watch those channels, right? We're playing around with these things and we're taking our steps and we're having fun with this and we're doing things that aren't supposed to be done. I'm having fun with it. I'll do it at my sweet time, my pace. If it's not fast enough for you, please, by all means, go watch other channels that make the times that you want to see. Charlotte Cone, bowling ball resin beats the grout because guys put in grout in all at once and it doesn't cure properly. Bowling ball material is an epoxy and it just like JB Weld, okay, and it'll harden without air. Okay, grout on the other hand isn't as dense and it's intended to air dry. So you mix grout and the water is supposed to evaporate out of it and it solidifies. Like you're grouting a floor. Okay, that's how it's intended to be used. If you fill the block with the grout, there's not all of the water can't get out. So the outside areas get hard, but the center of them stays soft. The grout is just not right. Bunter Hutton, his names. Tesla planted drag week went 9:01 last night at the event. Holy Jesus. Could you imagine that now? We're talking about an 8-second car, a factory 8-second car that it's just like your grandmother would drive. It's insane. It's just insane. Um, Richard Toffman, I heard that half fill blocks cool better. Depends what you're doing. It just depends what you're doing. If it's a full race motor, you're running alcohol, an engine that you're running without a cooling system, then a full fill is that. But if you're running a cooling system where you got to circulate through the heads and all of that, yeah, you absolutely can. You go to a half to a 3/4 fill, so that the top of the cylinders is circulating. But when the top of the cylinders circulate, it's also circulating through all of the water passages front to back on the head. So that's why if it's a street engine or let's say a bracket race engine where you need a cooling system and it's always got to be maintaining a temperature, you can't do a full fill because the heads won't get even distribution. The half fill block at least has some extra heat sink. That's true. Where's Uncle Kathy? She's at the house lurking quietly in the back, in the background here. Corvette shorts. Uncle Tony, I want to boost my 400 big block in my Cordova. Think the thermal quad will take it? No, I don't. I don't think. You're talking about, I'm sure you're talking about a blow through setup. I do not think a thermal quad is. I've never seen a blow through thermal quad ever. You know, I don't. I don't think that's the. I don't think that's the device to use for that. Fifth thing, would you ever be open to turboing the Slant and Plan Z? No. Okay, Plan Z is all about a normally aspirated slant six. How fast can we go with a normally aspirated slant six? And no, zero ever chance of it seeing a turbocharger or nitrous or supercharger or anything like that. The essence of Plan Z is a normally aspirated slant six. That's what that car is, and that's what it'll always have. Because you remember something, right? So right now we're taking our baby steps with it, and we're learning as we go along. But now, even when you get to the cars with the point where it's scienced out, where it's going to run, whatever number it's going to run, pick a number, right? There's still always the tweaking, the rethinking, the refabricating, you know what I'm saying? So it's like a never-ending thing. You can always tweak another horsepower out of it here. You can always find another thousandth of a second. You can always, but it takes time to get there. You have to work towards it. So it'll never reach its ultimate potential. I'll die before it reaches an ultimate potential. So I have no interest in like trying to go. See, it's not about going fast. Okay, it's about how you go fast. It's about, does that make any sense? So I mean, there's lots of different ways. So okay, just take an example. Okay, I could take the 440 out of my Charger and drop it in Plan Z, and the car would probably go like, like 10 O's, 990s, because it costs flyweight, right? It would probably run bottom tens, like it was just falling out of a tree. It would be a bracket race car. I have these pieces. I could put all of that together. But where's the sport in that? There's no fun in that, right? The fun is going from a 14-second to a 13-second to a 12-second to an 11-second and tweaking and doing all this other stuff. That's where the fun is, not the time slip. I could care less what the time slip is, as long as it's better than the last time slip. Does that make any sense? And we're not even at the point where we're making time slips yet. We're still sorting. We're still learning. The Kickendall popped in here. Kickendall, you snuck in while we weren't paying attention. How you doing, brother man? Um, let's see, GM, can a Mopar electronic ignition be hot wired to run without a full engine harness, like with just a power wire and a ground? I want to hear the engine run without installing my new harness yet. Yeah, well, if you have the control unit hooked up to the distributor, you've got all of that. Then yeah, you just hook it hot, ground it. Make sure you ground the unit, and yeah, it should fire right up. 318 will run makes perfect sense to me. The fun is seeing what you can do with what you've got. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Bruce W. Tony, it's not about fast, it's about slant six versus slant six. Roy Fentroff, slant six likes boost. It actually does. The slant six, it's a natural boost. There are guys running like deep into the single digits, and we're like, 920s, nine teens with boosted slants in relatively heavy cars. Moped, I'm looking into the eyes of the sun. That's where the fun is. Yeah. Mark Neese, is it true that you lose a tenth of a second for every 100 pounds that you reduce in your vehicle? That calculation is for average weight, average horsepower car. So 3,500 pound car, 350 horsepower. Take 100 pounds out of it, you lose approximately a tenth of a second. It's a sliding scale. It's not completely accurate all the time, but it's a good ballpark. The big benefit of losing weight isn't so much that 100 pounds is going to reduce your ET by that much, but that 100 pounds reduces the load that the drivetrain has to deal with. It makes it easier to go faster. The lighter the car, the easier it is to go faster. The less breakage there is, the simpler the parts you have to deal with. Joel Jenkins, what is the highest horsepower slant six build that you're aware of? I don't have a horsepower number. I know there's one guy claiming he makes 600 horsepower out of a supercharged motor, and no, he doesn't. Like if that thing actually puts 600 horsepower down on a dyno, or I will eat it. You know what I'm saying? I will eat it. But I'm sure guys have come close. I would imagine somewhere in the 500 horsepower range is probably about the maximum high science slant six. Jim, are you going to be covering the 3D3 engine build for your Dart? The 3D3, okay, the 3D3 is going in Slaghammer. It's not going in a Dart, but yeah, we're going to be covering it, the whole thing. Mr. Will, Uncle Tony, how does someone become a mod on a live chat? Well, you have to be part of an exclusive bloodline. All of our mods are tested for this. They're part of this bloodline, and it's all through the mother. You know what I mean? So there's a genealogy search. We have to go back 4 or 5 generations to make sure that you are pure, and then you can take the mod tests. And there's a lot of mod tests. No human really passes them. But yeah, that's it. Well, part 10. Thank you, sir, for keeping the wheels and wrenches turning. Thank you. I appreciate that. RC Top Fueler, how about an alternator underdrive pulley for Plan Z? If it had an alternator, it would have an underdrive pulley. There's no alternator on it. It has a fan, okay, but the fan is set loose with a belt that deliberately slips. So at idle, when it's idling, the fan is spinning normal speed. As soon as you give it gas, the fan almost stops. Like you can watch the fan just go, when you give it gas. So there's really no drag on the front of the engine at all. Dakota's timeout. I heard you have to do 3 consecutive cartwheels to be a mod. That could be one of the tests. It's not really one of the tests yet, but yeah. No, anybody who's a mod on this channel has proven themselves to be, way beyond the abilities of mere, mortals. But to be a mod, you have to be made. To be made, you have to be pure. Yeah, of course, right? Exactly. UTG, any haunted houses near you? Yeah, actually the square is very haunted. There's one of the buildings. There used to be a bar called Bluesboro, and they did tours in the basement of this thing. The local ghost groups would do tours of the basement of this place because it was like you were guaranteed something was going to happen down there. There's actually a bunch of haunted areas in here, and we've got the battlefield. The battlefield. I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story. Right. We're going to talk about haunted stuff. Okay. So right now we're about 10 miles from not even, yeah, we're about 10 miles from the Stones River battlefield. That's where the Battle of Stones River happened there. And there's a giant cemetery, and it's got soldiers from both sides buried there. And so one night, this is probably about 10, 12 years ago. It wasn't too long after I moved here, right? So I went out for like a late night ride. I was just in the mood to ride. So I got on one of my motorcycles, and actually, it was a long time ago. Now that I think about it, it was at least 15 years ago. So I get on one of my motorcycles, and I go down Old Nashville Highway. And it's probably 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. I just felt like riding. Okay, so I get on my bike. I take Old Nashville Highway all the way up, and I got to like Nashville, and I was like, let me turn around, let me get home before the sun comes up, right? So I go back and I'm riding. I'm coming down Old Nashville Highway, and as I'm coming up on the battlefield, which is close to my house, as I'm coming up on the battlefield, I see now this is a very clear night. It's like perfect, right? It's like 70 degrees, right? No atmospheric conditions, no nothing, right? It was just normal, clear, beautiful night. And I'm riding along, and I'm just puddling along. And as I'm coming up to the battlefield, I see a cloud, right? Not a steady, not a solid cloud, but like a big cloud, okay, of smoke, right? It looks like smoke or fog, okay. And I'm like, oh, that's weird, okay. So I rode through it, and as I rode through it, I smelled gunpowder, okay. That's really weird. I smell gunpowder. So I go probably another 500,000 feet down the road, and it was like, I got to see what that was about. I don't know what that was about. So I turn the motorcycle around, and I go back to where the cloud was, and it's gone. There's nothing there. There's no mist, fog, cloud, no smell of gunpowder, no nothing. And I know I wasn't imagining this because it was strong enough for me to say, what the hell is that? So yeah, so there's, it wasn't a ghost, let's just say, but something happened that night, and I don't want to say it freaked me out. Things like that don't really freak me out, but it really got my attention. Charlotte Cohen, I saw some things at the Patent Tank Museum in the 70s at dusk. Uh, let's see, Dakota's timeout. Tony, have you ever broke something launching an automatic car off the converter? Would you break anything doing it a few times? You shouldn't. The converter, even a loose converter, I mean, unless you're trans braking it, you know what I mean? Trans brake is a whole different animal. But if you're just launching off the converter, no. I mean, the converter is even like the like a high flare, high flash converter is still an easy, you know what I mean? It's an easy hit on the drivetrain. No, you could, if you're just foot braking a converter, you will never break anything in the drivetrain, that you can blame on the converter. Mountain Man Garage, I just found you the other day. We're looking up building a 318. Great channel. Thank you, Mountain Man. I appreciate that. Paul Cavazola, ever hear of anyone running Sled 6 on nitro? I have not. But it would be a natural. It would be a natural. The rear end might take some. Nitrous is the only broke dry parts. Yeah, nitrous will do it. Okay, let's see. Jamie Hart, can I convert my 318 to run on a Keurig? Yeah, honestly, why not? Nicholas Patterson, Misbehaving Customs. How you doing, brother man? Uh, JW, big block 4-speed A body. What do you launch at? That's such a trick question. Loaded. There's no way to give an answer to that. It all depends on the car, the tire, the suspension, power level, where it makes its power. That's an impossible question to answer. Um, Los Cadaver, there are tons of nice cars for sale around me, and I can't buy anymore. I'm with you. Things keep popping up, right? And it's just like I can't. You know what I mean? I can't. I have way too much. But I may make an exception for one of them Indian the Royal Enfields. The bike is stuck in my head. The bike is stuck in my head. Okay, if any of you guys are into like classic old school Brit bikes, right? I love Brit bikes. I just love Brit bikes. But the Brit bike tax is like the Ducati tax. There's a Brit bike tax, and you pay the Brit bike tax with your soul. Okay, but if any of you guys are into Brit bikes, leave this now, okay, and go look at the Royal Enfield Continental 650. Right, and tell me that this doesn't create this like feeling of need in you. Tima, did you find a motor for the white XJ? No, I sold the white XJ. Yeah, I sold it to a father-daughter team. It's going to be the daughter's first vehicle. Royal Enfield are cheap. The new ones, yeah, they're cheap. It's like 5,800 bucks, 57 or 5,800 bucks. It's like you go look at this bike, okay? Go look at this bike and go watch some of the videos that people have done on these bikes, right? And what they say about them, okay? And yeah, it's like 5,800 bucks. But like universally, they're all saying the quality is exceptional. That they would try. I was watching this one guy, and he's like, he was doing a review on the bike, and he was like, I wanted to hate this thing. I was looking for the flaws. I can't find any flaws, and they forced me to love it. JW was raised on Nortons. They are a lot of fun. Yeah, but then you know what I'm talking about, right? The Brit bike tax. You know, there's no such thing as an easy Brit bike experience. Dented robot, you have a 71 Beezer 650. I had two 69 A65s. Uh, one of them was stock, dead stock, beautiful bike. I used to love right that bike. I okay that Beezer I had one was chopped. Okay, well I didn't chop it. I bought it that way, and it was okay. It was a pretty cool bar hopper, right? but I had one that was just dead stock. I mean, it had original cables on it. I think that, the tires had been changed, but I mean, it was all completely original. And I used to only ride that bike on special occasions. I kept it in my house, right? I kept it in the living room, and I would take it out like, once every couple of months. I would say, you know, time for the Beezer, and I would roll it outside, and I would go through a whole routine. It was like my special, you know what I mean? And I would just ride it a few miles, you know what I mean? And because that bike just at low speeds, right? The exhaust sound, the stock exhaust at low speeds, the feel of that bike, everything about that bike was just so awesome. And I would put it away and clean it, you know what I mean? Clean everything up perfect, and then I would roll it back into the living room, and right. Doug Calhoun, Tony, what years are best for 440s? They're all pretty much the same. They're all pretty much the same. If you're going to build one, like, you like build one, then the latest ones, the 75, 76, 77, 78, have the thick Hemi main web in them. Those are the strongest of the 440s. But for the most part, though, they're really all the same. Esteban Cliche, I'm just finishing up a 72 GT 752. Esteban, I had one. I had a water buffalo. I had at the time. I was just talking about this like the last live. I think I was into Kawasaki triples, so I had a couple of small ones, and I had a 69. It was a 69 H1, which was the baddest of them all. I had an H2. I had one of the S400s, which was a fun bike. One of the best ride motorcycles I ever had. And then I went and bought a water buffalo, and I was disappointed in it. But I'll tell you what, if you want a road trip, like, okay, like the water buffalo, that GT 750 you have, if you want to like road trip, like go cross country and shit like that, there is no better bike on the planet. Like if you're expecting it to have that terrifying lunge, of the Kawasaki, you're not gonna get it. But that GT 750, man, like if I had to ride a bike from here to, let's say, California, right? Um, that if I had to pick a bike to do the iron butt on, right? That would be the bike to do it on. They're so big and comfortable and heavy and smooth, like insanely smooth. You will absolutely love that. But they just don't have that that the Kawasaki's do. Don Williams, my RV 440 stamped 11. Yeah, 91179. Yeah, they cast them because remember they had replacement blocks. They had to warranty those things. So it was truck applications too. So yeah, you'll find big blocks the 440s. You'll find them cast past 1978. They stopped production in cars in 78, but they cast the blocks in 69, and they were available for a long time. I mean, I was the 69, 79. I was buying new. Oh God, let's see. In 1988, 1987, 1988, I was still able to buy brand new long blocks from a local Chrysler dealer. Roger Isabel, I had a 71 Kawasaki 502 stroke. Yeah, that's the H1. Yeah, the early H1s were brutal. Don't know how many. If you change spark plugs, do you get better gas mileage? Depends on depends how shot the old plugs are. ABB 4320. Ever ride a CBX? I never rode one. I never rode one. They weren't around. They were a rare bike back in the day. I've seen a couple. I've marveled over them. They're beautiful, amazing pieces of machinery. But I've never actually ridden one. Harry, I didn't even see you sneak in there. Harry, how are you doing, brother man? Dakota, have you found spark plug gap to be much effect on performance? Not really. As long as you're delivering a spark that lights the cylinder, yeah. Depends on the ignition system. It depends on, like, a leaner mixture requires a bigger gap. But I mean, I'm gonna say, like, if you're talking about difference between, like, so you got a 35 thousandths gap plug, okay, or a specification of 35 thousandths of an inch gap, and you go, let's say, to 30, you're not gonna see any difference. If you go to 40, you're not gonna see any difference. It's just not there. If you start going bigger than that, right, with with a mixture that isn't deliberately leaned out, you'll start to get a misfire. Doing great, Ari. Excellent. Did you get that motor back from the machine shop yet? Fubar posted the link to our merch again. Thank you, Fubar. So it's want to buy shirts, hats, whatever it is. I don't even know what we got in the store. Go to the store. There's the link. Fubar just posted the link. UncleTony'sGarage.com merch, right? The store. Yeah, go there and see what we have. I'm not even sure what we have. I've completely lost touch with what we have, and it's all right there. I don't even know what it is. Uncle Kathy and Uncle Chris will take care of that stuff. But thank you. You know, anybody who buys this stuff, thank you so much. And Fubar, thank you for posting the link. What you make of it? Alfa Romeo. First thought, ugly stuff sounds funny. You wouldn't take a second look. I don't know what that means. JW, Uncle Tony, do you like total timing in before 2000 or later? Cam size drives would assume 550 lift. Yes. Yes. As far, okay, so ultimately, there is no timing, right? Ultimately, the timing is instantly there at idle, okay? For a performance, performance application. The only reason you have advanced curve on a high performance car is so that, I mean like on a real high performance car, not like a factory muscle car type of thing, because they're like gas quality, altitude, all of these different things come into consideration when they tune, when they calibrate a car from the factory. But if you're building a hot rod, the only reason you would have any advance at all is just so that it starts easy. So it doesn't kick back on the start. So, I mean, ideally, yeah, you want all your advance in at 1,000 RPM, right? But it's not realistic because when it comes in that quickly, the springs are so light that they don't draw it back in. So, like 2,000 is okay. But yeah, ideally you want it locked out so that you've got your total advance at idle, because that's where it does the most good. Immediately off idle is where you want the most advance. The Pirate Apache, would you consider doing a front design shirt with the sticker design? No. But that's not my call. That's Uncle Kathy's territory. What's this? Ari, you're wearing your UTG shirt at the local swap meet. Did anybody throw stuff at you? You want to start a speed shop down here called Westminster Low Performance? I like that. I like that. Joe Alcott, H1 always hit in the middle of a corner. That's the magic of those bikes. That's what guys don't understand, right? Because you talk about, so you tell people, the H1, right, crazy bike, okay, and it was a freaking crazy bike. And like, how fast did it go? Well, it ran like 1220s, right? And they're like, 1220s, that's slow. My mobility scooter runs 1220s, right? But it's the way it runs the 1220s. That's, you know what I'm saying? Because what you just said, yeah, it comes in like you're going around a corner, okay? You come around a corner, and all of a sudden it comes into, and it hikes the front wheel up. It's like people don't understand. Those two-stroke triples were just instant on, but there was a lag. So you open the throttle, nothing happens for an instant, and you're like, nothing happened. And then all of a sudden it goes like, and they don't like lift smooth. They don't wheelie smoothly. Okay. They come on the pipe. Okay. They come on a pipe and it ratchets the wheel up and then ratchets it up again. And by the time you can even react to this thing and throw your weight on the bars, you're already all crossed up and weird and out of shape and stuff like that. That's the thing about those. And they talk about, see, that was the thing, right? They talked, the big thing was like, oh, the frames, it's like the frame has a hinge in it. They used to talk about the Kawasaki triples, right? No, there was nothing wrong with the frame. It was the way the engine developed power. And the power came in these weird waves when you least expected them. And it makes it feel like the frame is loose, but it's not. It's just that this thing's applying like erratic torque through the drive, through the drive, and throws you all over the place. Those things were just amazingly like brutal motorcycles. Going 1220 on a Kawasaki triple is like taking an R1 and going like 990, right? It's like the same. You know what I mean? So I had a 900 RR, right? And it was piped, it was jetted, it had all of the stuff that was available in the day. Okay, it was a fast fucking motorcycle. It was at least 2 full seconds quicker than an H1, but the H1 was scary to ride, and the 900 was just put your weight on the bars, twist it, throw your legs back, and go, right? So yeah, no, people just do not understand like the whole Kawasaki triple thing. Gil Sylvia. Hello, Tony. Welcome from New Hampshire. What's happening, brother man? Question. What do you know about the DZ302 called the Hemi 600 horsepower built for the Trans? The DZ302 was the Chevy Trans Am. It was the Chevy 302. That was not a Hemi. That was a small block Chevy. Well, the Kawasaki triple will kill you, then step on your head. It's the truth. TH man, my buddy had a triple. It ran 8s, but it had extended swing arm, air shifter, or nitrous. Yeah, well, okay. If you equip them out like a drag bike, just like that, extended swing arm and all this stuff, then yeah, they're fine. They'll go fast. They'll go straight. They'll do everything they're supposed to do. It's when you've got that package on the stock frame motorcycle with the high center of gravity, because they had a relatively high center of gravity, even though the motor weighed nothing. It was down low in the chassis. Those bikes they set up high and had a high center of gravity. Short wheelbase, they wanted to wheelie. They just wanted to throw themselves back. So yeah, if you've got a Kawasaki triple and it's on like a drag bike frame, yeah, man, you go ridiculously fast with it, and it's just like any other motorcycle. But the way they packaged them from the factory, they were like, I'm telling you, if you're into motorcycles, right? If you're into motorcycles and you like, right? You cannot go to your grave without ever experiencing the Kawasaki triple. Right? There is nothing. There's no experience. There is no experience a human can have that is equivalent to the Kawasaki triple. There's just nothing. You have to, if you're into motorcycles, if you're into engines, before you die, you must at least once grab the throttle on a Kawasaki triple. There's just nothing in the world like it. There's no sound like it. Dimitri, thank you, brother man. Hey Tony, check out a '79 Duster tomorrow. Boxy looks good. Well, it's a Plymouth Volare. It's a Duster Volare. Look good. 100,000 original miles. Loads of paperwork. Anything I should look out for? Questions to ask. Rust. Check the rust. Those things. The most notorious thing on those that I found the difficult one to handle is the firewall. Okay. So Dimitri. Okay. When you open the hood, look at the firewall, okay? Look at the lower section of the firewall. There are vents there. You'll see there are like rubber flaps that are supposed to let water out. Well, those things get clogged with like, all the stuff that goes through the vents, like leaves and dirt and grime and shit like that, right? So it builds up and it blocks those flappers from the inside, and it rusts the firewall across like this. You see it. It's about a valve cover level of the no, not even valve cover. It's a little bit below valve cover level of the engine, and you'll see a rust line that goes like this. Check that. If you don't see that, then there's nothing else on the car that's really like crazy. But we'll look at the firewall carefully on that. Harley Hawk. Okay, you've ridden a 500 two-stroke, a single. Yeah. Okay. So now picture that. Okay. Picture that power delivery, right? But with one pulse for every 120 degrees of crankshaft rotation. Okay. So just picture that. So you're getting one pulse every 360 degrees of crankshaft rotation. Now picture one pulse, right? Every 120 degrees. All right. And then you start to get the idea what we're talking about here. JD, okay, Uncle Tony, simple question. Favorite B body? If we all ever had a blank check. Um, I think the 71, 72 Plymouths are probably the most beautiful of the bunch. Um, I can't really pick one. I love them all. I love them all. I can't really pick one. They're all beautiful and special to me. Chase Bryan, any chance of the 400 build you talked about early New Year? If we do it, it won't be until like later on next year. We will do it, but it's not good. It's not going to be before then. Auto 1303, Cowie two strokes. Did they use reeds or rotary valve? No reeds. It was just port. Redneck Man, West Virginia, 99. Man, that's a good question, Redneck Man. How do you feel about flat rate pay in the auto industry? I don't really have an opinion on that. It's a good question, but I don't really have an opinion on that. Van Leer, I have a 71 charge with a 318, having starting issues, have to spray starting fluid every time. Check your accelerator pump. Check the accelerator pump on the carburetor. Travis Mopar Garage, what's happening, man? Just chilling with my family here. ABB, Tony, have you ever ridden a 68 Hemi Dart or Cuda? A couple of them, but I went for a ride in John Friel's Superstar. Okay, this was actually, we did this in Cars Illustrated magazine, and I think we did it in High Performance Mopar magazine also. If you can find old magazines, and I bet you if you search it online, you can probably find that too. But we shot a feature on John Friel's Hemi Dart. It was a full-on Superstock car. He was actually, I believe at the time he had the record. He had the Superstock AA record, and he took me for a ride in the car, and we were supposed to just launch it, right? He was just gonna stand it up, and then that was it. He was just gonna launch it, and he ended up running the thing through. And I wrote a whole bit on that. That was in, I guess it was either Cars Illustrated magazine or I wish Steve Magnanti was here because he would know. He would probably be able to go right to the article. But yeah, Todd, Boy, you remember my Ryder Fields dart? That piece was awesome, bro. That was crazy. I had, like, no helmet, no nothing. Okay, no nothing, and I had this death grip, a death grip on the bar. Like if I squeezed any harder, I would have broken my fingers or crushed the bar. Linus Roosevelt. Every once in a while, my dart won't crank with the key. Jumping the starter relay, it cranks right away. Is there a common fix or issue for this? Okay, it's probably the neutral safety. Okay, neutral safety switch. Either the neutral safety switch is not adjusted correctly, okay, the shift linkage isn't adjusted correctly, or the yellow wire, right? Go to the starter relay, and you'll see there's a yellow wire. The yellow wire, the connection might be dirty, okay? So check those three things. That's what's doing that. Man, sexy, what's happening, brother? Ali the Retro Kid, hey, hold on. Can you make a 10-to-1 compression 413 run on 87 octane by retarding the timing? Just bring the timing back until you don't get an audible, until with the stock distributor and the stock timing curve, it's hard to do that. It's hard to back the timing off to where you're not going to get a spark knock, you're not going to get, and decent off the starting line or off idle performance. Okay, like pulling away from the traffic light. So with something like that, if you curve the distributor, if you narrow the total, if you narrow the mechanical advance in the distributor, yeah, you can actually run 87 octane and actually a more initial advance than you would think possible and get very good performance. But you really want to you want to work on the distributor. You want to narrow the curve on a distributor. Uh, Rider VFR. I fixed the neutral safety switch, took it apart, and cleaned the contacts on it. Yeah, then is the adjustment right? Does it start in neutral? Revis Rose, congrats on his Sportster. Thank you, thank you. I really wanted to ride today. It was such a beautiful day, and I didn't get a chance to. Linus, mine won't crank in neutral when it acts up. Then it's I'm telling you, the pin, right? The pin on the starter relay for the neutral safety switch, it's probably dirty. I've had that happen a thousand times. Or, okay, if it's an 1874, like Jay Rinn is saying over here, an 1874 has that seatbelt interlock thing. If you've got a square box with a red button on the passenger side rear inner fender, okay, so you open the hood, look at the inner fender on driver's side, I'm sorry, look at the driver's side inner fender, look all the way in the back, and if you see a metal rectangular box, okay, a little one, with a red button in it, that's your problem. Bypass that. Just literally, just cut the wires that go to it and splice them together. Justin Richards, no more speed chops around the curve dizzy anymore. Well, you can do it yourself at home. You don't need anything crazy to do it. We've done videos on curving distributors. Uh-oh, this thing slowed. Oh, Mexican spec. You 74 Dart didn't even come with 64 Dart didn't come with seatbelt. 74 did. 74 came with a pretty elaborate seatbelt system. Brian, welcome to the Sunday Night Motorcycle Show. Hey, I'm having some fun with it. I've been away from bikes for a long time. I'm really enjoying, ABB 42. Tony, do you like or dislike magneto distributors? I love magnetos, but they're not so much on the street. But for race car, yeah, magnetos are awesome. Daniel Salazar, what's happening, Dan? Mexican spec, not in Mexico, really. Mexican, they didn't have seatbelts in 1974 cars in Mexico? That's the first I've heard of that. Bruce W., are you able to talk about the Sled 6 oil pan mods you're thinking about? I mean, I could talk about them, but it's really abstract. I'll do a video when I've got the pan down. I'll do a video and show exactly. Well, I'll show what I'm going to do. Yeah. Seatbelts, what are those? Yeah, I'm with you. Uncle Bendy's 200. Yep. Thank you, man. Starduster, will a 3500 stall converter make your car run hot in stop and go traffic? 3500 should not. 35 if it's a street strip converter, a 3500 RPM converter, no, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. I tell you what, a locked rear will make your car run hotter than because it takes a lot of resistance to go on even slight turns. Will tend to make your car run hotter than a 3500 RPM converter. What's the box on the fender with the red pin? And that's the seatbelt interlock override, which never works. So just cut the wires to it and splice them together. Harley Hawk, ever ridden on a Honda XR 650? No, I haven't. My dad has one that's got a big cam, pipes and other mods, goes fast like the Baja racers that rode them. Yeah, no, I never rode one of those. Seatbelt interlock was 1 year only for the seatbelt interlock, 1974. Buell Cyclone. Oh, my buddy Brandon had a Cyclone. My buddy Brandon. So I don't know. He's probably not watching this, right? My buddy Brandon, back in the day. It was even back in the day. This is like maybe 10, 12 years ago, right? My buddy Brandon had a Cyclone, Buell Cyclone. Okay, so Brandon, here's what would happen. Okay, Brandon would occasionally like run off the deep end. Okay, so he would drink too much, or he would take too many of the whatever substances that he was like into at the time, right? And like I mean, and like he was like into like crazy hallucinogens and shit like that. So I would get a call from him usually like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay, Tony, come and get me, right? I'd be like, where are you, man? Right? And he'd tell me where he was. Okay, so I'd go get him and I would ride his bike. I would take one of my junker bikes, right? I would ride it over to his, wherever it was to get him, and then take him home on his bike and then keep his bike for a day. So it was a Buell Cyclone. I loved that thing. It was awesome. I don't know why I never bought one myself. Probably because I had access to his often enough. But yeah, I'd stick him on the back, I'd ride him home, and then I would take his bike. Tony 513, Tony, you wouldn't happen to have any videos on changing out a distributor, would you? Changing out. About to tackle this project soon on my 67 Valiant. So I assume I assume it's a slant 6, right? Um, I've never done a video like that. I'm thinking about it though. Now that you bring it up, I'm thinking about it. The reason I don't do videos like that is because they're so specific. It only applies to a tiny fraction of the audience. So like you talk about slant 6 theory, slant 6 history, slant 6. You get a pretty broad audience. So people that are into all different kinds of cars are interested in the slant 6. But we're doing like a very specific technical thing on those engines like that, like changing out the distributor. It isn't very interesting. Wouldn't get a lot of views, and so that's why we don't put out videos like that. Bruce W wants to know, when will I order my new Royal Enfield? Bruce, don't say that, because you don't know. This bike is living in my head now, right? And I am not. I just got one bike, right? I can't go get another bike right now. Like I cannot do it. Just I can't, right? The spring, maybe in the spring. Gideon Wells, make the content I want. That's the way it should be. I do make the content that I want, but I also have to balance the fact that we put out content that has to get views. That's how we make a living. This is how we make a living. So I can't just do any old thing I want to do. You know what I mean? I have to do stuff that has viable view potential, things that people actually are going to click on. Matt S. Tony, my dad just ordered Felpro gasket set for both his 87 and '01 Dakotas. The O'Reilly's warehouse only had one each of left. Stuff is getting harder to find. I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that. When things become a little more clear, because okay, so there is spotty shortages of odd things here and there. Okay, and it's not like there's spotty shortages, but there's no real pattern yet. Okay, but once I can really sense a pattern of what's not available, or what's becoming very scarce, or what's just done. Once I have an idea what that pattern is, I will do videos on this, because this concerns everybody. So you're talking about so swapping over a distributor and slant 6 has the tiniest audience, but doing things about shortages, part shortages, or quality issues, or anything like that, that affects everybody across the board. So those are the videos that I'm most interested in pursuing. Not only for you guys, but for myself too. I want to know what's going on, so I can hoard and do whatever I've got to do. Blend questions. I'm sorry I'm murdering your name, my brother. Ben. Yep, all my parts are on back order at the body shop. That's what I'm saying. I don't have a pattern yet. As soon as I can identify a pattern, we will do videos on that stuff. Bruce W. Shortages, worldwide shipping is an issue. All of China's probably got COVID. It's not just, listen, there's container ships. There's 60-something container ships that are being held off the port, deliberately held off the port out on the West Coast. Again, I'm in the same boat that you guys are, and I have the same answers that you have. I don't know, but I do know that this is deliberate. Something deliberate is going on, but I don't know who's to blame, or what's to blame, or what the next step is. I'm on this like you guys are, and like I said, as I learn stuff and I become more aware of things, that's where we're gonna focus, because this affects everybody. We can talk about like hot rodding stuff all day long. We love hot rodding. We all love hot rodding shit. We all love these things, but if you can't get anything, you can't, then it's like it becomes a whole different ballgame. So we'll be focusing on that. Hey UTG, when Garrett takes the Miata to autocross, will you slap a camera up front? Yeah, actually, Uncle Kathy has a whole GoPro setup now. She's got everything, so we'll be doing a bunch of different types of videos. And yeah, there'll be a GoPro on the car. Yeah, absolutely. She's just learning how to use it now. She picked it up on Thursday, I think it was, and she's been watching videos and learning and playing around with it and everything else. So yeah, you'll start seeing GoPro videos on this channel really, really soon. I don't need to bring the supply chains back to us. Absolutely. Joe K, Tony, if you ever do a manual trans launch video, I'm all eyes and ears. Had a bad time with traction today, but a great day otherwise. You see, that's okay. So yeah, we could do videos on manual trans launching, but there are so many variables. And of course, the weight and the horsepower of the car is one thing. The tire type is another thing. The suspension type is another thing because the way you would launch, let's say, a trailing link car like a GM car is different than you would launch a leaf spring car. Like there's so many different variables. And then you've got the clutches. You have a street clutch that has a sprung hub and a Marcel between the friction surfaces, or the solid hub, ceramic. Is like there's so many variations. It's impossible to do one video that covers all of the different possibilities for launching a stick car. Danny Boyd, we might have to go to another country to be free to hot ride, and that is sad. This ain't the country I was promised. Well, bro, I mean, listen, we're gonna hot rod stuff no matter what, okay? Look at the Cubans. The Cubans have been hot rodding stuff all along. There's been drag racing in Cuba since the '60s, right? It's not what we think of as drag racing, but they've been doing it all along. There's drag racing in China, okay? There's hot rodding and drag racing in China, okay? They have one drag strip, but they have small clubs and stuff like that where they get together and they do their drag racing at wherever the airports or wherever it is that they do it. There's hot rod culture all over the world. There always has been hot rod culture all over the world. So it's not like there's going to be a government that's going to change where everything's going to change where just there's no hot rodding. Okay, it may become much more difficult to do it, right? Mostly because of the cost and the availability of parts. And that puts us where these other guys are. But I mean, hot rodding, working with machinery, is something that's ingrained in like, okay, certain types of people like us, okay? We're gearheads, and okay, so we're American gearheads. But it's not an American phenomenon, it's a human phenomenon. And there are gearheads all over the world. And the love of racing is not an American thing. The love of racing is universal, right? We're all cut from that same cloth. We've just had it very easy here in this country to do it. But just because it becomes difficult, or it doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means that we're going to have to work harder, dig deeper, and to get our fix. But there is no place in the world where there's no hot rodding or no drag racing. It's everywhere, and it will always be. It may not be what you are familiar with right now. Polish names will get you every time. Ben Smith. Andy, I didn't realize you were still hanging out here, brother man. Yes, good night. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Good night, brother. BDN 1324. Snowmobile drag racing is a thing up in my area. There are some really fast ones. Hot rodding isn't confined to just absolutely, absolutely. And see, here's the thing too. Here's something you have to understand also, right? The wealthy in this country are the ones who pull the strings and call the shots. The wealthy, okay? But what you have to understand about the wealthy, and some people refer to them as the elite, and some of them may be the most evil scumbags that ever walked the face of this planet. But you know what? You know what they love? Classic cars. They love classic cars. Okay, so don't worry about all of a sudden, it's going to be illegal to have a car older than whatever it happens to be. That will never happen. because the elite, and like I said, it doesn't matter how twisted they are, how screwed up they are, how right, they love classic cars too. Right? So don't worry about that. There will always be a world of classic cars, 1960s, 1970s, cars. Sean Fagan, they don't love cars, they love buying them up for investments. That's not true. That's not, oh, it is true of some people. Yeah, absolutely. There are people who just buy them up as investments. And again, you see, you think that they're going to let their investment go away. It's the same thing. Okay. It's the same situation. You have, an elite that has a fleet of classic cars they bought up as an investment. You think they're going to let their personal investment go away by making these things illegal to have or illegal to operate, or the fuel isn't going to be available? No, it never happened, right? They're going to protect their investment and make sure there's always an ability to market these cars. But on the flip side, there's also, I realize that these elite, they're in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. They're the same basic age as and this is what they grew up with. Even evil people had a GTO when they were a kid, and they still love their GTO. So it's like, don't stress that, man. The classic car thing is not going anywhere. It just may be much harder to get parts for. I agree with the hypocrisy. I understand exactly what you're saying. The cars are different than guns, right? Cars are different than a lot of things, right? For a car to have value, and again, you see, the elite buy these things up as investments. For the car to have value, the car has to be usable and saleable. If it's outlawed, right? Oh, you can't buy gasoline at all, right? Or you can't do this at all. Well, then their investment has no value anymore. So the hypocrisy could be, whatever it's going to be. But the bottom line is that they're not going to cut their own throats, though they should. Peter Kovacs, the elite like to deprive Joe everybody of stuff to maintain their elite status. Super control issue. I agree. I agree. That is true. Jonathan Briggs, that's why I have a pile of 302 parts in my spare bedroom. This is the time to hoard, man. This is absolutely the time to hoard. And it's not just engines, it's bolts, washers, nuts, like just it's time to hoard. Hardware, hoard hardware. Elite, Bruce, what is your definition of the elite? The elite. Just leave it at that. Tinfoil hat engaged. Deep Junk Garage. If I were in charge, I'd make it that everyone should have a muscle car. The leader of people with too much power to care what is legal. That is true, John. That's true. But that's where black markets come from. I don't really want to get into this, but black markets and underground economy and stuff like that are they're tools of anything you want. Look, it's just like in the Soviet Union, the Soviet Union days. You could get anything you wanted, as long as you knew the right people and were ready to pay the price for it. Anything. And it's always been that way. That's society going back to for as long as we've had society. For since we climbed, even back when we were in the caves, right? Doesn't matter what's legal, doesn't matter what it's illegal. If you have the money and you have the connections, you can have anything you want, right? How far are you willing to go to get the things that you want? And in our case, it's cars. How far are you willing to go to get that fix? It's going to get hard. It's going to get hard. But it's like it has to be like people like us, right? Collectively, me, you, right? Everybody who's in this world, we need to work together to make sure that we have our connections. We are the connections. Will become the black market. Whatever it happens to be, it will always be there. Man. It'll always be there. Cars are not going away. They'll always be there. You just may not have it as easy. It may not be as easy to attain as it once was. Billy Bob Holcomb. It might be a trend, but many of us are aging well enough to run out of parts. I had that. I swear to God, I had that thought yesterday. We were at the swap meet, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy up every point distributor I find. I'm just anything with an old set of points. I'm going to buy this. Anything with an old condenser, I'm going to buy this thing. And I bought a couple of them, and I was like, I I don't know if I'm going to outlive my supply of stuff. I got to really start thinking about my supply of stuff. I'm like, I'm 60, right? Or be 60. So it's like, what do I have? Like maybe 12 years, 15 years at the out, maybe that much. So will I outlive my supply? Do I have enough stuff to keep me going for another 10, 12 years? Good night, Mexican spec. Unbiased. The elites aren't driving themselves. Some of them do. And could care less about public roads. That's true. Classic cars will be relegated to events for the wealthy. Not true. Okay, where do you live? Right? See, that's the question. Where do you live? If you live in a dense population area, okay, like okay, New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, right, Philadelphia. If you live in a dense population area, then there is a very good chance at some point in the not too distant future you won't be able to do this. Okay, but if you live, let's just say where I live. Okay, so I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, and 20 miles and a 20-mile radius around me. Okay, there are just there's open roads. There's no cops. There's nothing. Okay, there's nobody to stop you from doing any of this stuff. You just go and have fun with your car, and nobody's going to bother you. There will never come a time. So let's just say you live in the county here in you're 10, 20 miles out of town, you're in a county or whatnot. There will never be a time when you won't be able to have a car in your garage, barn, shed, backyard, whatever it is, and take it out and burn some rubber down the road and meet your friends at the Sonic drive-in. And there will never come a time when that will be impossible or illegal. It might be illegal, but nobody's going to enforce it because all the cops have cars here, right? All the cops have motorcycles here. So there will never come a time that that's not possible. However, if you live, let's just say in New York City, for example, or you live in Chicago, right, or the suburbs of those areas that are controlled by the rules of those areas, then yeah, there's a very good chance that in the not too distant future, you won't be able to do any of this stuff. And there's no question about it. But where do you live? What kind of lifestyle do you have? That's the difference. Good night, Mike. Danny Boy, yeah, cops are motorheads. A lot of them, the gun enthusiasts too. And here's another thing you have to understand too, right? Do you realize? I see a lot of people don't like they don't take into account the sheriff's department, okay? Because your sheriff, right? Whoever your sheriff is, okay, is the law. All right, that's the law, right? If you go into the flyover states, you go into middle America, okay, you're going to find that the sheriffs, right, and the sheriff's department, right, these are all really, these are us. These are our people, okay? They love cars. They love guns. They love motorcycles. They love mudding. They love all of the things that we love, they love too, right? And you can absolutely, positively guarantee that as long as, and it's going to be in during our lifetimes, that those sheriffs and the sheriff's departments, they ain't going to bother us. They are us. So don't stress that. It's not going to go away. Danny Boy, the elites will supersede the police and our military units. No, it ain't, that's not going to happen. It'll happen in the cities. It won't happen here. Uh, Ryder VFR, they make you get green, yellow, red stickers in Germany. The old cars they call old timers, and they only go out on Sunday mornings. If you don't have a green tag, you can't park in the city center. That's in the city, okay? Now go 20 miles out of the city and tell me what they do. Go 50 miles out of the city and tell me what they do. See, it's different. What happens in the cities is different than what happens in the rest of the country. This is, like the United States, right? We have a big ass land mass, okay? And the cities only incorporate the huge amount of the population, okay? But the cities only incorporate a very tiny amount of the actual land mass here. You know what I mean? So yeah, I know they can make it impossible if you live in New York or I guess it's Los Angeles, Chicago, any of these big cities, right? They can make it absolutely impossible to have a vintage car to use for anything but that Sunday afternoon put around. But that's a tiny amount of the land mass that we have here. What is happening in the flyover country? That's the question. If you're, I'll tell you what, if you're worried about it, if you're worried about this stuff, you live in the wrong place. Okay. See, and look, I lived in New York City. Okay. If I lived in New York City, I would be going nuts. First off, I wouldn't live there right anymore. It's just impossible. But if I lived in New York City and I was a gearhead and I wanted to continue my gearhead lifestyle, I would be going berserk. I would be paranoid. I'd be all freaked out. I'd be like, the world is coming to an end. Okay. But I don't. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. And where I live in Nashville, Tennessee, everything is completely normal, right? And it'll stay normal. It's not going to change. So if you're worried about what's going on, it just means that you live in the wrong place. Cecil Gilbert, any experience with new old stock cast iron, Prestolite, industrial Slant 6 series? No, I've never even seen one. Priest of Baal. We love you, Tony. But is that a good thing? I don't know, man. Brandon Lee, that's why Scotty moved from Houston to Tennessee. Yes. JW, okay, do e-body Hemis have an 8 3/4 or automatic ones do? Yes. unless it was optioned with the package with a Dana. CBR Turbo 72, why can't you comment? You just did, CBR. Freezer Ball, you love Mopar too. Oh, you know, but your other comment didn't go through? Well, try it again, CBR. Joe K, would you consider doing a live with Eric O? I'll ask him the same question about you on his next live. I don't know who Eric O is. Eric O is Stuntman's hero. I'd like to do something with Stuntman, with those guys, with Neutral Drop. They look like fun guys. South Main Auto. Yeah, I mean, again, let them get a hold of us, sure. Charles, you still want to see some F-Buddy content. When F-Buddy content comes my way, I will pass it along to you. How's the Junkyard Jack coming? The guys are here working on it today. JW, did the few 72 Hemi Roadrunners come? There were no 72 Hemi Roadrunners. There was one 72 six-pack Roadrunner, two 72 six-pack Chargers, no 72 Hemi Roadrunners. John Wilburn, Ford Boss Me loves UTG. Like to see you do a sure. All right, guys, I'll hang for a little while longer. K. Nelson, who did the Swiss cheese on your dart? I did. It's not the neatest Swiss cheese job in the world, but I did it. I told the story before. The last actual shop that I had, like this isn't a shop, this is a studio, but the last commercial shop that I had, I kept that car inside, parked outside the office, right? So I got a hallway that led to the office, and I kept that car parked in the hallway, and I kept the drill with a step bit plugged in on the car. It was always there. So every time I went to the office or from the office, I would stop and drill a hole and then keep going. And that's how I got all of those holes that are in there. Bad Tree Productions in the house. Cram Productions, what music were you listening to rolling down the strip in the 70s? Punk, just punk. But what would be thought of as traditional rock or classic rock today? And I don't mean the stuff they play in the top 40. You know, and punk. Travis Mopar Garage. Somebody was trying to tell me they were the '69 Challenger. Yeah, no. And they could have a '70 Challenger that was built in '69. But no, it'd be a '70 model car. Auto 1303. Would you be confident in any Magnum engine in a junkyard that turns freely and has no noise, similar to JJ? No, because what we have there is a perfect example. We only bought that engine because we only chose that engine because we knew we were going to take it apart. So the condition of the rings, condition of valves, and stuff like that didn't make any difference. But as long as it rotated, it meant that it, it didn't have any broken rods or any severe damage. It wasn't locked up. So, but no, I only trusted that engine because I knew we were going to take it in and take it apart. And good thing we did, because if you had taken that engine and just tried to plug it into something and drive it, it would have had no compression. It would have you would have had a 50 horsepower motor. UT, do you still recommend today's Autolite spark plugs? Yeah, I'm just, in a lot of ways, I'm a creature of habit, and my habit is just to buy Autolites. Be down 1320. What do you think about the new 2023 already? Nissan Z car. I know it's not a muscle car, but 400. I haven't really looked at it. I couldn't give an opinion on it. I love the earlier Z cars. The original incarnation of the Z cars, I think are phenomenal. I look at those cars to this day, and the 240s and all. I look at those cars today, and I still look at them. I'm still like, that is just beautiful, right? Um, and I love the mechanics of them. Straight sixes, they were just awesome cars. And they lost me, man. They lost me. They lost me in the 90s. They're just gone. So. Peter Kovacs, NGK makes quality plug also. Yes, yes, absolutely. NGKs are great plugs. I'm an Autolite guy. Like some people are Ford people, some people are Pontiac people, and Mopar people. Well, some people are NGK people, some people, and I'm just an Autolite guy. Kenny Winter, the UT, do you use jet extensions in the rear jets on bottle rocket? I don't have them on there yet. No. I should, but no, I don't currently. Travis Sawyer, one of those NGK. No, they're great plugs. I got no complaints with NGKs. So, all right, guys. Well, okay. I have to do an illustration. I have to show you guys why I like to stick with one type of plug, and it has to do with plug reading. Okay, well, there's a few reasons, but it has to do with plug reading, right? And certain plugs will color certain ways, and I like to keep that consistency. And I'm going to do the next video that we're doing has everything to do with plug reading, and I think my preference is not my preference, but my reason for sticking with one type of plug will become apparent with that video. So, all right, yeah, guys, we're over the 2 hour mark, and I'm done. Okay. So Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, we do the live show with oh man, I got a lot of stuff coming up this week. Okay, so Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, we got the Dallas show. Thursday, we're doing a live head porting Thursday night with the Junkyard Jet guys. Friday night, I have Matt Happel from Sloppy Mechanics. We tried to do it once before, but he'll be here. Or is it Saturday? Jesus, I don't even know. We got to do a promo for that. And then of course next Sunday. So we have a lot of stuff coming up this week. So I'm gonna check out now at this point because it's done. And our mods, John, Ari, Fubar Zero, Again, always thank you. Our regulars who are here every night, Mopar Den and Mopar Man and Don and Wendy English and all you guys that cluster up here during our typical lives. I really enjoy hanging out with you guys. You know what I mean? It's I know it's kind of weird. It's like a one-sided sort of thing, but I really do. You know, um, so thank you all. Everybody contributed with super chat. Thank you. Everybody who just contributed with good conversation. Thank you. And I'm going to get the hell out of here. Right. So I'll see you tomorrow. Good night, all.